From the studios of Warrantech North, Jeffco Public Schools presents Building Bright Futures, a Jeffco podcast with Superintendent Dan McMenemy.
Hi, I'm Dan McMenemy, and welcome to the latest episode of Building Bright Futures, in which we continue to explore some of the great things going on in Jeffco Public Schools. Joining me today is Jason Firestone, who manages the Student Engagement Office and oversees the Jeffco Student Voice Program. Welcome to the program, Jason.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
We're glad you're here as well. Let's talk a little bit about the Jeffco Student Voice. What is Jeffco Student Voice?
So Jeffco Student Voice is an opportunity for students from diverse backgrounds to come in and get together from all of our area neighborhood high schools and really work on leadership, advocacy, cultural awareness, really to be the leaders going back into their buildings. Part of that leadership is the opportunity to speak with the superintendent, yourself, really about the great things that are happening in our buildings, but also some of the challenging things that, from students' perspective, that we need to be aware of as leaders in Jefferson County.
How long has Student Voice been around?
Student Voice has really been around since the spring of 2011. Is the first time that we actually brought students together. We started talking about this really in 2010, but formally started bringing students together in 2011.
So you probably have some kids, this is their second or third, maybe even fourth year of doing this. How has that changed for them over time, and what results are you seeing in their buildings as a result of this participation?
Absolutely. So we do have students who have been with us in Student Voice over the course of their careers in Jefferson County Public Schools and high school. We've had some students who have also graduated, so seen some of those celebrations. And I really think when you talk to students, what has really developed for them is expanding their concept of their own personal leadership, but also their perspective on the school district as a whole and the complexities that come along with that, and the challenges sometimes that come along with that, but also the opportunities to develop their own voice in constructing what changes happen in Jefferson County.
So how often are the meetings held?
We hold meetings usually 4 times a school year, and those opportunities look very diverse. We have offered many times getting together at our education center up in our boardroom. We've gone over to the Mountaineering Center over in Golden. We also offer students the opportunity to go onto a college campus and explore leadership, that next step in life. So from anywhere from going and being able to sit in a college classroom, being able to speak to college leaders that really address diverse issues on a college campus, and giving them opportunity to see themselves on a 4-year university, and really giving them that aha moment of this leadership and all these experiences are going to lead to something down the road.
That was one of my favorite meetings last year when we went down to Metro State and had the group of students in there and did that. First of all, did the mixer activity, and then they kind of got the day in the life of a college student. I thought that was really powerful.
Absolutely.
Do schools hold their own meetings as well?
So obviously, we cannot do Student Voice without the partnerships of our schools, and our Student Voice advisors are amazing. They're in every high school identifies a Student Voice advisor. The principal, school leadership identifies who in their building really represents the diverse communities within their building and who really has a passion to help students in this. And so we really do rely on those district personnel to take some of this back to the school and start some of those initiatives so that we are having student voice type conversations at the building. There are some high schools that have done a really good job of bringing this back, and principals who have seen the value of student voice and have started student voice type kind of committees where students are coming and meeting with the principals, sitting down and talking honestly about, again, the great things that are happening in all of our buildings, but also some of the challenges from a student's perspective.
How does Jeffco Student Voice align with the 2020 vision?
That is a great question. And, as the 2020 vision was developed, we were really excited to see kind of how that naturally just fit into the Student Voice project. And we're really talking about civic and global engagement, communication style, critical thinking and creativity, self-direction and personal responsibility. Those are all the things that we try to highlight in student voice because we feel like those are components of being a good leader, being a good citizen, being a good lifelong learner. And so as we roll out activities and learning for students in student voice, we really do focus on these and the ability to highlight some of those as we start to look at what a graduate of in 2020 out of Jefferson County is going to look like. We feel like it really aligns with the 2020 vision work and are excited that students are going to be able to see, hey, a strategic plan really means what we're actually doing here. And I can see myself in a strategic plan in a school district of 86,000 students.
Well, I think one of the things that you guys do really well is take the theory of being a leader and actually put it into practice through real life problems that kids will solve at their schools. I think that's a really valuable attribute, and I think the kids get to also work as a team to solve those or get to identify those working with their building principal. And so you're more of a lab of these great thoughts, and I just think it's so cool that the kids get to actualize that opportunity with you.
Absolutely. And the great thing about student voice is that we talk about our diverse communities in Jefferson County, and we talk about the 16 buildings really that we're drawing from, and we are drawing from our neighborhood high schools, we're drawing from our alternative schools, our charter schools. We really have representation of all of our diverse communities as it applies to Jefferson County. And so we feel like that's one of those beauties of, hey, your community is small. And as you start thinking about being a community leader, the ability to get together with other students that aren't exactly like you, that bring their unique perspectives, and be able to respect that and to be able to problem solve, like you said, that's part of what we want our students to walk out of our doors as graduates in Jefferson County.
Is the program open for all high school students?
It is, and that is, like I said, the very exciting thing that we have really been able to do with the support of our schools. And the importance is that we're opening up these doorways, not just for those traditional students coming out of our neighborhood high schools, but for all of our students, because we know that they, again, bring their unique perspective, the diverse perspective, which is the focus of student voice, and opening that up to, like I said, all of our buildings.
We're going to pause now for a moment. We'll be back after the break.
Hi, I'm Allison McKenzie, and I'm a teacher at Warren Tech Transition Services. Warren Tech Transition Services is excited to announce our landscaping crew is in its second year and is expanding to high school juniors, seniors, and 18 to 21-year-old transition students. This crew is designed for students to explore and gain skills in growing and caring for plants, both edible and non-edible, using garden tools safely, and basic landscape design. Students will also be introduced to native plants, irrigation, composting, and using organic materials to feed the plants and soil. This program will better prepare students with basic entry-level skills for the workforce in the areas of horticulture and landscaping. Fundraisers include selling poinsettias at the holiday time and hosting a farmer's market in the spring. Students will have the opportunity to design and plant their own garden and continue to improve the landscape on the Warren Tech grounds. Transition Services students and staff work in partnership with the STEM and culinary programs at Warren Tech Central. The landscaping crew has received abundant support from the various businesses in the community, such as Home Depot, Squeaky Bean, American Furniture Warehouse, and Jensen's Nursery. This fall, CPS Distributors is donating their manpower, materials, and knowledge to build a sprinkler system in the space behind the Transition Services building. Throughout the year, the students are able to continue to grow plants both outside and during the cold months inside the greenhouses at the center. Our future plans include volunteering in the community and expanding our partnerships with the STEM and culinary programs at Warren Tech Central. We hope you take time to check out our programs.
Jeffco Public Schools, building bright futures.
So how have you seen students grow within this program? And I want you to think about some specifics if you can. Obviously, don't share the student name or the school, but I know you've seen a lot of kids go through this program during the time that you've been responsible for it. And I know that there's been some great growth there. And so tell us a couple of good stories around good growth for kids.
Absolutely. And again, that's part of why I'm so passionate and excited about this is that you do get to see students who are taking this back to their schools, back to their communities, and taking this beyond in their life. I think of two examples. One example is a young lady who was in Student Voice for pretty much her entire high school career, and had the opportunity to go to college and is at Metro right now. And she understood that giving back into a community is a powerful way to contribute to society. And she has been volunteering in after-school programs here in Jefferson County. And I feel like that's part of growing our own. And that's, I think, probably one of those things that hopefully she learned in Student Voice. The other one really was a student who was shy when they first came to Student Voice, was coming from a cultural background that wasn't necessarily, that she didn't see herself in her school and it represented greatly. And I think that created a little bit of shyness when she first started. Last year was her last year in Student Voice, and she was at a place where she was voluntarily going to committees such as the calendar committee. She was on the 2020 vision work group as a student representative. She had found inside of her her own self and seeing herself in the school district where she didn't, I don't think, before, to the point where she could sit down with school district leaders, community leaders, and represent the student voice in some pretty impactful groups as we think about calendar committees and strategic planning. So I think those are two good examples of students who have grown and taken that next step.
Well, just watching your face as you're explaining those, I can see the pride that you have in making sure that students grow. So great job there. What are some great things that Jeffco Student Voice has done so far, and what are some things that you think might be beneficial or fruitful in the future for Student Voice to participate in?
Absolutely. So I think, like I said, what Student Voice has done so far is really this conceptual idea of who is not at the table when we're talking with larger student groups or in leadership, in student leaders, and looking at maybe some of those voices that we were missing initially as we started having those conversations, and being able to really foster that in a way that we started off with maybe 20, 25 students. And as you know, Dan, last time we got together, there was probably close to 125 students that were there. And we think that that's great in and of itself, to increase the attendance, to increase the opportunities. I have to tell you, the Student Engagement Office, I have an amazing team that I work with, and their ability to develop curriculum, to develop activities that are meaningful, that are purposeful, that are not only fun, but are also research-based on how to develop students in their leadership abilities, I think is one of those ads that we have over time developed. And like I said, I'm just lucky to be part of such a great team. I think that to your point around what are we doing at the school level, really the expansion of this doesn't just happen at the Ed Center or any other venue that we host this at. The power in this is students taking that back and starting these kind of concepts and ideas in their own buildings and pulling in really all of the voices in their building and including their school leadership. And we've got great school leaders that want to hear student voices, and we feel like this is one of those opportunities and platforms. So we feel like that's great. We'd like to expand that, though. We'd like to see that happening consistently at all of our high schools and really bringing those groups in the individual high schools and bringing that voice back to you to really inform you of it's not just one student's perspective, but one student bringing back the perspective of all of those students. We feel like there's power and ability to grow in that. We're really focusing this year and in the future around service learning projects. Probably would benefit from opportunities such as these as well. And we also feel like that would give our high school students some ability to mentor and really, again, give back but also explore their own leadership with the students who are following behind. Leaving legacies is very important. And I think students being able to see the students coming up behind them and leaving them a legacy around student voice is going to be a powerful next step.
That might be really interesting too, since we have the two 7-12 configurations, how that team can go back and do projects within their building that are going to influence across their building for 6 years instead of 4. That'll be really interesting.
Absolutely.
I'm a high school student, and I may be interested in being a part of this group. Sell me. Why would I want to do this, Mr. Firestone?
Absolutely. So I really think the first place we start is the ability to sit down with you, Mr. McMenemy, and have a face-to-face. What a unique and great opportunity to be able to sit down with the head of the largest school district in the state of Colorado and really kind of explore what it means to be a high school student in 2015 and beyond. I think that in and of itself is a unique opportunity. The other things that really I think are selling points is to be able to learn what leadership is, what advocacy is, really what diversity means and how to support the diverse students, not just in your community, but beyond. So I'm talking about skills that'll be able to be applied to college, things that'll be able to be applied to your work, things that are going to be to take you moving forward. All of these are skills that you'll be able to develop, and I think you'll be able to have an edge up on other students that don't have this opportunity. So I think that's another benefit. I think as we move forward with student voice, we're really looking at service learning projects. And service learning projects are great for your community. They're a great way to give back, but they're also a great thing to put on a college application around what have you done in your community to support your community, to show that you have really bought in and that you're a well-rounded individual that will be able to fit into a university or college setting. And I think another great thing that Student Voice is offering students that ability to be able to do that. I think another great selling point is to be able to go on trips to places like CU Boulder, to Metro State University, maybe possibly in the future to UNC. Those are opportunities that don't come around all of the time, and another great thing that if you're a Student Voice participant, that you'll be able to participate in.
Well, thank you. Any final thoughts about Student Voice?
I guess just my one final thought is that it's great to be in a school district that has opportunities like this for students. I know that other school districts are trying very hard and doing really good jobs about engaging their students, but I think this is a unique opportunity, and Jefferson County provides great experiences for all of our students, and I see the Student Voice Project as another one of those great things and unique things that we're doing in Jefferson County. And being an employee here, I just really want to celebrate the fact that we do have opportunities for all of our students, and especially our students from diverse backgrounds.
That's all for this edition of Building Bright Futures. Our thanks to this week's special guest, Mr. Jason Firestone. Also want to give a shout out to our Warren Tech North digital audio engineers, Max Songer and Robert Patterson, for their work on this episode. Great work, guys. Look for new episodes twice a month on JPS-TV, Jeffco's official YouTube channel. You can also search for us on iTunes. Please let me know if you have a podcast topic you'd like to see me take on. I'd love to hear from you. See you next time.
You've been listening to Building Bright Futures, a Jeffco podcast with Superintendent Dan McMenemy. This is a production of Jeffco Public Schools.